Hi everyone, yeah, I'm Kath Jones, and I'm here to present to you our paper, Put Your Hands Up, How Joint Attention is Initiated Between Blind Children and Their Sighted Peers. So this paper was written in collaboration with Martin Grayson, Cecily Morrison at Microsoft Research, and also with Ute Leonards in the School of Psychology, and Osama Mutatla with me in the HCI department, and Osama's in the audience here as well. I want to give a special thanks as well to Matt Sutton, who has worked on the images for my previous paper and for many of the images in this paper as well. So this work was motivated from last year's paper. I don't really get involved in that way. And this, our key finding was that blind and visually impaired people experienced a void when attempting to initiate joint attention. So we wanted to explore the reasons why initiation wasn't leading into a joint attention event. So we did a longitudinal study, case study, of a mixed visual group of children using AI technology. We did 6 video recorded sessions in a classroom over 2.5 months with 1 blind child and 4 sighted children and their teachers. They used a People Lens headset created by Microsoft and games designed to be played with the People Lens. So we did an interaction analysis where we used inductive and deductive coding. The deductive coding was drawn from our previous work and on work by Alfaro et al. For her work with joint attention in blind infants. We focused on the 3 steps of initiation, which was the initial signal that's being sent out, an accessible response for the initiator of that joint attention, and an acknowledgement of that response. So the People Lens is actually a headset that sits on your head. The blind and visually impaired person wears the headset. It has 180 field of vision and is designed to indicate to the wearer where people are in proximity. You can program up to 15 people in it. And has, so that the specially designed AI tool can detect when somebody is in proximity, and as they turn their head, a knocking sound increases in pitch and frequency, and then when the headset locks onto that person, it will speak their name. Our key outcome, our key finding was that for all participants, as the environmental complexity, the social environmental complexity increased, the likelihood of an attempt to initiate joint attention leading to a joint attention event decreased for everyone, but was significantly worse for the blind child in the group. We also found that even though the children enjoyed playing with the technology and it facilitated social opportunities, it became an additional task for the blind child that contributed not only to a reduction in her initiation attempts, but also the sighted children making those initiation attempts to her. So I'm aware that I've used a lot of psychology heavy terms. So what exactly is joint attention? Joint attention is vital for social interaction to take place. It sits there with emotion recognition, language development, theory of mind, and cognitive flexibility. And to demonstrate it, I want everyone in the room who's got brown eyes to close your eyes. So close your eyes now. Everybody with any other colour eye, please keep your eyes open. I'm pulling out an object, and we are all now sharing attention on this object. This is joint attention. Now, I'm just showing it to you. This is from a favourite film of mine, and you all can see what I'm referring to. If you were in proximity, you'd also be able to touch it. But for those of you with your eyes closed, to give you an indication of what I might be referring to. So yes, it's a dinosaur coming out in a film soon. And there we have everybody then is able to engage because we're now using Audition, and if somebody wanted to touch it, then you could do that. So the thing, The thing with joint attention is, as with anything, as with many interactive aspects of development, it's very visually oriented. So when watching the videos of these interactions, there we have the blind child wearing the headset with the joint attention object, and she goes, "I'm going to choose one of you," and everybody silently threw up their hands. The headset designed to pick up faces, didn't pick up the body gestures, and so that moment was lost for her. So why is the increase in social complexity a problem? So here I'm going to have my colleague Anna come up. So Anna, if you close your eyes, spin around a few times for me. Okay, stop. Okay, so Anna doesn't necessarily know, well, she does because she's sighted, so she has a spatial map of the room, but she would not necessarily know now that I want her to take the ball. If I touched it, then yes, she might be able to, but I'm moving around, and so if I'm not using my voice to tell her what's happening, the ball doesn't jingle, so I'm not going to. I could throw it at her, but this social interaction becomes much more difficult. In the same way that, now Anna, if you take the ball, wanted to do the same with me, she can't necessarily tell whether I'm ready to take those signals, so she might just think I'm disinterested. So this is what we were observing. Thank you, Anna. This is what we were observing, is that when you have a single static object and an attentive friend reaching towards you, that initiation easily led to a joint attention event. But if the situation became much more complex, in this situation there's 3 tasks happening. There's the headset, Belle is playing with the magnets, and they are also playing a people lens game, which meant you had to knock on the door, leave the room, knock on the door and identify who was outside. But the 2 girls had sneaked out and she hadn't realised, and she wasn't using the headset, and she was just talking into the void, into that empty room, until somebody knocked loudly on the door, and she said to her teacher, sitting quietly in the corner, "Is there anybody in the room?" And the teacher says, "Oh, I don't know, what do you think?" And Belle goes, "I think that everybody left." And she didn't use the headset. And the reason being, why did this happen? So the headset became a dual task, or even a triple task for her. As sighted individuals, we can scan a room. I know how many people are here, who's walking in, who's sitting down. But even as sighted people, we have something called inattentional blindness. Now, I want you to practice this. So first of all, start patting your head and rubbing your belly, if you can. Okay? Now I want you to look around the room. Can you see anything that you wouldn't really see in a Kai talk? That might be one of them's fallen off the wall. And then a lot of people might not, you can stop rubbing you. So there's a reason why we're not allowed to text and drive. But all these things, so in terms of the touch, that was touch, but the other thing was very visual. And that, the more you task you at, the more difficult it becomes. So as our design insights, we suggest that technology design should include all social partners, that the technology provides relevant updates on environmental changes, and that the design reduces distraction from the main social activity, so that blind and visually impaired people can maybe have that chance of maintaining the pace with sighted people as the pace picks up. And then we know one size doesn't fit all. So as always, design for the complexity of the individual and the complexity of the social situation. So, thank you.
We'll take one question.
Thanks so much for the talk. I was curious how in your design you thought about making sure that you're balancing the social dynamics and not designing technology in a way that like positions this blind child as more different than the peers?
So I think this is one of the observations from the technology. The technology was developed alongside blind and visually impaired people giving that input. However, yes, absolutely, the focus is very much on the wearer, and so wasn't distributed across the group. And we actually observed that when she was wearing the headset, she made less initiation attempts, but also the sighted children made less initiation attempts towards her as well. So it kind of like detracted. More exploration would be needed for how that could be changed. Yeah.
Alright, I think due to time's sake, we need to move on to the next speaker. Let's